Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lori Smith on Blog Talk Radio. And child abuse prevention and human rights abuse prevention is up to us. I'll be on here for half an hour this morning, and the topic today will be continuing on with domestic violence. And we just, there's so much to cover, and there's some great information out there for anyone who is in a domestic violence or abuse situation, or who knows someone or suspects that someone is, and really just wants to get a bit more information and maybe some resources on where they can get this information. So I'm so glad that you can join me this morning. It is Sunday, 10 a.m. Calgary, Alberta time, and I'm glad to be able to share this information with you. And there's a lot to look at today. I have typed it all up in my chat room. If you're interested in going on to blogtalkradio.com, you can register as a user and just sit in on all the great shows that are on here and find some great information for sure. And you can also sit in on my chat room, and if you have questions, you're more than welcome to leave them there for me, and I'll try to answer them as quickly as I can. And if I don't get to you, then I'll answer them after the show. And I just hope you can get something out of this show. And if you'd like to phone in, I have a guest call-in number, and it's a U.S. number, and it's area code 917-889-3736. And you're welcome to phone in. If I don't see you on the switchboard right away, just hang in there, and I'll try to get to your call. And we'll just start out. We had the last few shows, actually, maybe the last week, I've been talking about domestic violence because during the holiday season, there is a lot more reported domestic violence assaults out there. And so I thought I'd just bring this up because this is happening in your community, it's happening in my community, it's happening in our homes, and it really needs to stop. And I just thought I'd come to you, one child abuse survivor to another, and someone who witnessed secondhand domestic violence, and because it's so important that we understand that it does happen, and that it's still happening, and it will continue to happen. But there is resources, and there is help out there for anyone who is suffering in this situation. And don't wait till it's too late. A friend of mine many years ago, not naming names, was murdered in a domestic abuse and a domestic violence situation by her boyfriend, and she left behind 2 small children and family. I'm not sure if her family knew about it, as they were quite dysfunctional and very abusive of themselves. And her friends, which included me, didn't realize that she was in this situation at all. And so this is what can happen. She's no longer with us today. And so I'm just one person speaking out saying, no more silence. And no more, it's not something to be ashamed of. It's not something to be pushed under the carpet and just swept away into a closet and the door locked. This is something that affects us all. And so I thought I'd start with it's a great website. And well, first of all, I'm just going to talk to you about a quick petition. And this is a petition that was brought to my attention. And I keep mentioning it on my shows, but I'm hoping that everyone will go and sign it as I signed it. It's to add cyberstalking to restraining orders, and you can find it at www.gopetition.com, and just scroll down to the latest petitions, and then just click on it, and it says add cyberstalking to restraining orders, and you can just click on there. It takes about 10 seconds to fill out this little form, to sign your name. They need 5,000 signatures to make this a law. And if you've ever been in a cyberstalking situation, which I've talked to people that have been, and your life is in danger, and you're in a domestic violence situation, and you have someone harassing you, your partner or whatever, and they're cyberstalking you, you would know how important this is to be made a law. So add cyberstalking to restraining orders. Let's get it done. And I thought we'd start this morning talking about a website that I found, and you can go right on to the web and find it. It is it's the NCADV, National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, and I'll just give you their web address. They are at www.ncadv.org. And they have some great information on there. And the last few shows, we covered a lot of, we kind of went into depth regarding the issue of domestic violence and, the fact that it affects men and women, and that and the signs of abuse and all that. And we also talked about physical violence is just one form of domestic abuse, and that it is very much encompasses all of it: physical, emotional, psychological abuse, sexual abuse, economic or financial abuse. It just goes on and on. We also talked about violent and abusive behavior is the abuser's choice. For instance, dominance, humiliation, isolation, threats, intimidation, denial, and blame. And how the abuser uses this to control you, because domestic violence is really an issue of control. And so that I found on thehelpguide.org, and that is you can just type that right in there. You just go to your web browser, type in helpguide.org, and you can check that out. That's some great information. And so, but I thought we'd stick with this National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, because there's some facts here that I just thought were astounding and just really upsetting. Domestic violence is the willful, I'm reading right from the page, is the willful intimidation, physical assault, battery, sexual assault, and or other abusive behavior perpetrated by an intimate partner against another. It is an epidemic affecting individuals in every community, regardless of age, economic status, race, religion, nationality, or educational background. Violence against women is often accompanied by emotional abuse and controlling behavior. Well, I should say women and men, and thus is part of a systematic pattern of dominance and control. That's what it's all about. Domestic violence results in physical injury, psychological trauma, and sometimes death. The consequences of domestic violence can cross generations and truly last a lifetime, and I have seen it in my own family. And but I broke the cycle, and so did my sister and my brother, so that's just awesome. And but I can just say that the statistics, what we usually see in the paper is when someone's been killed, when a woman or a man is killed in a violent act in a home, that there could have been domestic violence going on for years, but it finally ended up in a tragic death, as it did with my friend. And well, that's really sad that it just has to end up in a paper, and that's all we're going to hear about it is the aftermath and the actual death that ensues. And so that's why it's really important to stand up and look around you and make sure that your friends are okay, make sure your family's okay, make sure that your neighbors and your coworkers are okay. Hello everyone. I got booted off my show, had to go and reboot my whole computer, and sorry about that. I'm not sure why that happens, but that has happened before. It says the show is on but not streaming, but I'm going to keep talking because this has happened before. Yeah, I just wanted to go through on this information I found, and there's just some facts here that I thought were really just very upsetting, and I thought everyone should hear them. 1 in every 4 women will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. An estimated 1.3 million women are victims of physical assault by an intimate partner each year. 85% of domestic violence victims are women. Historically, females have been most often victimized by someone they knew. And females who are 20 to 24 years of age are at the greatest risk of non-fatal intimate partner violence. Most cases of domestic violence are never reported to the police. And then it goes on to talk about children who witness domestic violence. Witnessing violence between one's parents or caretakers is the strongest risk factor of transmitting violent behavior from one generation to the next. Boys who witness domestic violence are twice as likely to abuse their own partners and children when they become adults. And 30% to 60% of perpetrators of intimate partner violence also abuse children in the household. Sexual assault and stalking, I'm reading right from their page, and you can find this at it is at www.ncadv.org. And if you're still on this listening, I really appreciate you being there. And my chat room is gone now because I had to actually go out of there and close the whole thing down. So I had some great information there. So if you need any information, please contact me. And you can also send me a message on Blog Talk Radio. And my area code, if you'd like to phone in, is 917. My phone number, 917-889-3736. That's a guest call-in number. It's a U.S. number. And if you have anything you'd like to bring up, please do phone in. Sexual assault and stalking. 1 in 6 women and 1 in 33 men have experienced an attempted or completed rape. Now that's horrible. 1 in 6 women. Now what do we talk? Like, think about it. That means if you know 6 women, chances are that one of them has experienced an attempted or completed rape, and 1 in 33 men. So, I mean, that's crazy. That's just wrong. Nearly 7.8 million women have been raped by an intimate partner at some point in their lives, and sexual assault or forced sex occurs in approximately 40 to 45% of battering relationships. 1 in 12 women and 1 in 45 men have been stalked in their lifetime. 1 in 12 women. I mean, that's just crazy. 81% of women stalked by a current or former intimate partner are also physically assaulted by that partner, and 31% are also sexually assaulted by that partner. So these statistics, I mean, I'm not sure, they don't have a date on this domestic violence fact sheet, but or maybe they do and I just didn't see it, but I'm sure the numbers are, a little different now, but I'm just reading to you from the sheet that I found on their website. And even if this were true, it's horrific, and really we need to do something about it. And if you've never experienced domestic violence, that doesn't matter. You can still get involved, and you can still reach out to those around you. You can still get involved in the prevention of it, right? So, we really have to look around in our communities and see where we can get involved. I know myself, that's what I'm doing, and it's just so important. And I'm going to just open up my chat window, and if anybody has anything, if they're still there, then you can go ahead and just pop a note in there. Make sure you put private if you want it to stay between me and you, otherwise I might read it out on the air. We'll keep going. Homicide and injury. Almost 1/3 of female homicide victims that are reported in police records are killed by an intimate partner. In 70 to 80% of intimate partner homicides, no matter which partner was killed, the man physically abused the woman before the murder. That's just crazy. So, less than 1/5 of victims reporting an injury from intimate partner violence sought medical treatment following the injury. So less than 1/5 of the victims reporting an injury sought medical treatment. See, so they just don't. Obviously, they don't go to the hospital. They don't get the help and the care that they need because they don't want to. Obviously, they're in a situation where they can't. Intimate partner violence results in more than 18.5 million mental health care visits each year. The economic impact of domestic violence. The cost of intimate partner violence exceeds $5.8 billion each year, $4.1 billion of which is for direct medical and mental health services. Victims of intimate partner violence lost almost 8 million days of paid work because of the violence perpetrated against them by current or former husbands, boyfriends and dates, or girlfriends and wives, we may as well throw in there. This loss is the equivalent of more than 32,000 full-time jobs and almost 5.6 million days of household productivity as a result of violence. So we can see that it truly causes a lot of loss. It's a loss of life. It's a loss of a good life. It's a loss of, of the economic factors. It's just crazy. There are 16,800 homicides and 2.2 million medically treated injuries due to intimate partner violence annually, which costs $37 billion. These were just astounding to me, these facts here. 16,800 homicides and 2.2 million injuries. $2.2 million worth of medically treated injuries due to intimate partner violence annually. So, reporting rates. Domestic violence is one of the most chronically underreported crimes. Only approximately 1/4 of all physical assaults, 1/5 of all rapes, and 1/2 of all stalkings perpetuated against females or males by intimate partners are reported to the police. So that's only 1/4 of physical assaults, 1/5 of rapes, and 1/2 of stalkings. So that's just wrong. This needs to stop. Protection orders. Approximately 20% of the 1.5 million people who experience intimate partner violence annually obtain civil protection orders. Approximately 20%, so that's all. Approximately 1/2 of the orders obtained by women against intimate partners who physically assaulted them were violated. So 1/2 of the restraining orders that were obtained by women are violated by their intimate partners, and more than 2/3 of the restraining orders against intimate partners who raped or stalked the victim were violated. So you can tell it's over half. It's either half or over half of the restraining orders were violated against the partners. And This is just the sort of thing that is going on in our world today. It's actually been going on since time began, and horrible, horrible, horrible. I hope you'll join me and raise your voice and say it's just got to stop. So it says if you need help, for more information to get help, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 and the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-4673 and the National Teen Dating Abuse Hotline at 1-866-331-9474. So there's some helpful phone numbers for you. And we all know that, a lot of times people, I've seen it actually in my research just recently that, there's been people that have been looking and searching for help and run into brick walls. Obviously, there's a lot of red tape, and obviously, we all know that nothing is perfect in this world. And unfortunately, a lot of times people find that the help that they seek out isn't exactly what they thought it would be. And that's just unfortunate because there should be better systems set up. And I know they're trying, but as long as we just keep trying, and that's the whole issue, we got to keep trying and keep setting up these organizations and keep making sure that the help is there for people who are living in a domestic violence situation, for themselves and for their children. And if you're someone who's suffering from domestic violence, I would ask that you would get help and make sure that if you have children that you get your children to a safe place as well, because too oftentimes children are caught up in the middle of domestic violence and their lives are ruined, or their lives are taken from them and as a result of domestic violence. So I would like to I can't tell you strongly enough how I feel about that. Make sure that you do get the help that you need. And I just wanted to talk about safety plans real quick. We've only got about 3 minutes left because I lost so much time on my show. Safety plan. If you are still, this comes from the same website, www.ncadv.org, and it says if you are still in the relationship, here's a safety plan. Number 1, think of a safe place to go if an argument occurs. Avoid rooms with no exits, for instance, the bathroom, or rooms with weapons, for instance, the kitchen. So you want to avoid those rooms. If you're in an abusive situation and your partner is abusive towards you and physically abusive, make sure that if you're in the middle of a actual assault, don't go into rooms that have no exits, and don't go into rooms that have weapons, for instance, the kitchen or the bathroom. And think about and make a list of safe people to contact, and do that ahead of time. Get your list of people to contact ahead of time and keep it with you somehow, right? Or somewhere where you can get a hold of it. And keep change with you at all times, it says. I'm reading right from this website, this paper that I pulled off this website. Memorize all important numbers, because this way if you don't have your paper, you've got your numbers in your head. Establish a code word or sign so that family, friends, teachers, or coworkers know when to call for help. So let's say you have a code word, and if you do call someone and your abusive partner is listening just on the other side of the phone, you could have the code word be just some word that you would say, like, for instance, something different that you wouldn't normally say, that wouldn't allow them to know that you've contacted them to tell them to get help. And think about what you will say to your partner if he or she becomes violent. Remember, you have the right to live without fear and violence. And I'm reading right directly from this page. If you have left the relationship, change your phone number and screen your calls. Save and document all contacts, messages, injuries, or other incidents involving the batterer. I would start keeping track of all that. If you're in an abusive situation, keep track of all contacts, messages, injuries. We only have about 90 seconds left. I hope that you will get the help that you need, and I'll just please keep reaching out. I will be back on the air tomorrow morning at 5:30, one child abuse survivor to another, and I just hope that you will join me. And what I really hope is that if you're someone who's suffering, that you will reach out and get the help you need. Silverbraid.org. Type that in there, silverbraid.org. That is a great website regarding sexual abuse, sexual exploitation, domestic abuse, child abuse, just any kind of child sexual abuse, any kind of abuse. Get on there, silverbraid.org. They have some great websites. They have hotlines, and they have a community support. And so as we close this show today, I just can't tell you how strongly I feel about this. You do matter. You do count. Your life is worth it. Your life is worth it to me, and it should be worth it to you. And you have to see yourself as the person that you really are, and that you deserve to have a good life, and that you deserve to not be suffering from this. And no one deserves to be treated like this. No one deserves to be abused. And I don't care, men, women, children, elderly people, it just doesn't matter. No one deserves to be treated badly, and we all need to stand up in our own worlds, in our own hearts, and make that difference, and be that change, be that, and make it happen ourselves. So that's what I hope that we can all do, just take a look around us and help those who are in need. So until next time, I'm glad that you could tune in, and I hope you'll join me.